Coach, thanks as always for joining us on the call. If you take a minute to tie up the win against SMU, maybe a word or two on the play that James made and Cole's performance on the field goal kicks in the second half, and what you expect to see as you return home on Saturday to face Navy.
Well, I don't know if I want to put those guys in a situation like that again just to get the players of the week from the league, whether it's special teams or defense. I mean, that you have to kick a game-tying field goal 3 times to get an opportunity to be, special teams player of the league, or you have to come up with an 86-yard touchdown, in overtime to get, that recognition. But all in all, an incredibly hard-fought game, back and forth a little bit. One of those ones where, you really didn't have the momentum, and especially in the third and fourth quarter, and we found a way. I don't know exactly how, but we found a way to give ourselves an opportunity to prolong the game by kicking the field goal with Cole 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and then the opportunity once you go to overtime where everything kind of evens itself, and to make the play we did after they make a, 2nd and 20, and they make an 18-yard gain. Now it's 3rd and 2, and James Wiggins just anticipates, does a great job. But all make the guy double pump based on a piece underneath, and he sealed the deal. By not only picking it off but going the distance, and that's why you just never know in these games. Last week I would have felt it was completely the other way. We had the momentum, had to control the game. And then we come up short. And then this week it's a little bit opposite. They grabbed the momentum, really had control there pretty much the last quarter or so, and we find a way to prolong it and give ourselves a chance. And I think that's where you grow so much as a football team, not just because you win, or not just because you can make learn from some of the mistakes and the things that you did, but you grow to put yourself in those adverse situations. So it's an exciting time for us in the program.
We'll take questions for Coach Luke Fickell. Please star 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll put you in the queue. Then the operator will introduce you.
We will now take our next question from Dan Tortora from wakeupcalldt.com. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
How we doing?
Just to speak on special teams a little bit further, sometimes feels like a thankless phase of the game. There's always a conversation on the offense and the defense, but special teams has such a big part in so many different intricate places in the game and where the ball's positioned and whatnot. And then obviously in your case, being able to, like you said, tie the game with the kick, and then James Wiggins doing what he did on the interception return. So just what are you, in general with defense on that side of it, just what you could say about special teams and then those, plays that are the difference in the game.
Well, I think when you really talk about it, special teams, it's, especially when you're talking about kickers, and special teams in general is, everybody puts an emphasis. How much of an emphasis is really on it? And I think each program's a little bit different, meaning, who do you put your best players on those things? I mean, if you look at our kickoff team, and I'd say there's 4 starters that are on our kickoff team. If you look at our punt team, there's at least 5 or 6 starters, both offensively and defensively, that are on our punt team. So we put an incredible emphasis on it. But when you look at kickers in general, sometimes it's very unique. I mean, last week, everybody would talk about Cole Smith missing 3 kicks. And I was, at least positive about, what had happened the week before, not because we missed 3 kicks, but sometimes you got to look and dive into a little bit more about the way you missed them. And Cole hit the ball really well last week, with the exception, to maybe the 148-yarder right before halftime, where, probably, testing his range a little bit. But the ones he missed were well-hit balls that, the Torgers were a little off, and so you felt good about where you were, where he was, at least hitting the football. And I think then he came out this week and did it when we needed to do it, and not only do it once, not twice, but even on the 3rd time.
And then to my second point, James Wiggins, those plays that come up huge, and this one being in overtime, just what you could say about James, not just on this play, but overall, just what you've seen from him, throughout the season on film, and his capability. And obviously he's known for it this week, but just what you've seen all the way through.
No, he's been one of those guys that we targeted. I mean, I don't know that he played at all last year. And it was a redshirt freshman. And then through spring football and through the winters and stuff, I mean, we knew he had a lot of ability. He's a guy that, that's very strong in the weight room. I mean, just, a fast guy. I mean, just very athletic in what he's done, and his growth as a football player, through the defense and through Coach Sanuda, is what you're most impressed with. Not just his athleticism, his ability, not just to go up and get balls, but to throughout a game kind of understand and kind of take something that happens early on in the game and be able to react and respond to it a little faster later in the game. And I think that's where you saw what happened. His ability to, some guys tighten up when it gets to be 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and it's an overtime situation, and hey, just let me knock this ball down, so that we can go to 4th down, or then there's some guys that they'll have an opportunity. They kind of look at it the other way and say, how do I go make this, and as opposed to just batting it down. And I think that's where you've seen the growth of James, not just as a football player, but in his confidence to kind of take that next step, and not just make those plays, but anticipate those plays to give him a chance to make some big ones.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
We will now take our next question from Bill Wagner of Baltimore Sun Media Group. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hi, Coach Fickell. Just some thoughts on Navy, what you're seeing out of them. Obviously, they've hit a bit of a rough patch and one of a rare losing streak that they don't normally have. What are you seeing out of Navy, Coach?
I mean, it's hard sometimes. I don't even look at the record, and I know that as a fan or as someone writing it or covering, I'm sure them. And maybe probably as a player. I mean, you take the record and throw it out the window for what it is that we're doing. So, to be honest, I couldn't even tell you what the record is. And sometimes when you're just trying to hone in on them, there's still a lot of things that worry you. And obviously the option is the number one thing that worries you. And I don't, again, momentum and those kinds of things are huge, obviously, in all programs. But I don't know that it takes a whole lot for them to get that ball rolling. And, whether it's, they've struggled maybe the last week or two and just not finished. I mean, I know watching SMU, I mean, they should have won that game. So there's a lot of games that come down to situations where they should have won. But I think when you're studying them and trying to prepare for them, it's kind of like a rivalry week. You throw records and things out the window when you're playing a team like Navy that is, so unique in what they do. And I think you throw a lot of those things out the window and say, hey, here's how we watch this. Here's what we got to do. And it doesn't matter whether they're 10-0 or 0-10. It's going to be very difficult.
Last year, they rolled up a lot of rushing yardage against you. I know as a defensive guy, that probably sticks in your craw. Your thoughts on turning that around?
Might be one of the longest days of my coaching career. I know you can say that. There's obviously been a few, but it's really difficult when that thing starts going, and that's what's so scary. I mean, it can be one play, and so it's very difficult. So we did a lot of work, obviously, in the off season, and just trying to get on the same page as a coaching staff and make sure our kids understand what it's going to be and the speed of the game. And I got to hope and believe that last year is going to help us a lot, and I mean that just for our kids realizing and understanding not what can happen, but it is really the speed of those things are really difficult to simulate. So hopefully we have an incredibly different respect, and I don't mean we didn't have respect, but a respect for how fast these things happen and how much different it is when it comes game time.
Thank you, Coach. Looking forward to my first trip to Nippert Stadium on Saturday.
All right, thank you.
And we've been final questions for Coach Fickell, please. Star 1 on your telephone keypad, if so.
There appears to be no questions at this time.
Thank you.
Coach, thank you for your time, as always. Look forward to talking to you once again next Monday.